back to your art, I mean, there are similarities, as you've said, but were you doing your own thing and then became more influenced by him? Or, I mean, did you come across your own biomorphic creatures not even knowing about him?
No, when I first started as a teenager, I was influenced by Picasso because in 1945, just after the war ended, Picasso had a big exhibition in London, and I went along to see it as a teenager, and I was knocked out by it. It was fantastic. All the work he'd done during the war came across to London, and so he was a big influence, which I had to shake off. And Miró was not such an influence in those days. He's only ever been an influence in certain ways. I love the intensity of his colors, so I try to use intense color, and I try to. He says every line must cut like a knife. He says, in other words, he wants his lines to be alive, and I try to, when I'm doing sketches, I try to follow that. But it's I wouldn't say. I think he's just an influence in as much as he creates his own world of strange beings, and so do I, but they're very different worlds. And in 1947, I started to produce Biomorphs, which were, well, I can show you. This is the new catalogue of this is the third catalogue of my work, catalogue raisonné, and this is the late work. And you can see from that image that the colors are bright like Miró, but the shapes have more body to them. He doesn't produce shape on his figures. Mine are more solid because I'm trying to, as I say, develop a parallel world of evolution.
You're this, I just thought of this, and I just remembered this, I should say. But there's an episode of Star Trek, the original series, and it's about these completely evolved beings. I mean, they're beyond, but their physical shape looks like people. This kind of people, humanoids. Yeah. And I'm forgetting all the details, but at the end of the show, they're like, we can't show you how we really are because you just wouldn't even get it. So at the end of the show, they show these beings of how they really are, these super evolved, I don't know what they are, but they're way smarter than us. And they look like your little creatures.
Oh, right.
They're little, there you go. They look like your biomorphs. So
I knew Leonard Nimoy, who was Mr. Spock. He was a wonderful man. I was a huge admirer of his because people didn't realize what a great actor he was. Because, of course, once you get into one of those set pieces and you become set, nobody will think of Leonard Nimoy as anyone other than Mr. Spock with pointed ears. But he was a great Van Gogh scholar and did a huge presentation in which he played Theo, the brother of Vincent, and he was a really marvelous actor. And when I met him in Chicago and spent some time with him, and I tried to encourage him to do more of that, but he said, well, you get stuck with one role and you're there for life, which is what happened to him. And I wrote about him in a new book of mine because I was looking at that. I can't do it. My hand won't do the Vulcan gesture, where you do it beautifully. Now, I wish I could do that. Now I'm envious. That's a wonderful Vulcan gesture. Now, what I didn't know was, do you know the origin of that? Well,
I should, being a Trekkie. I guess I'm not as Trekkie as I should be.
Leonard was taken as a Jewish boy to a Jewish ritual, and that is actually the gesture which is made by Jewish, I don't know,
rabbis?
Well, rabbi, yes, in the ceremonies, and he saw it as a boy, and they do it two-handed. Yes, that's it. That is the one used in the Jewish ritual, and that apparently spells out something important. I don't know enough about it, but
maybe Yahweh. Maybe it spells the way they spell God, or the name unnameable.
I think that's it. Anyone who goes to Jewish ceremonies will understand that gesture immediately, because all the officials do that. And he decided to do it one-handed and adapted that for Star Trek. And that was how it didn't come out of the air. It came from a particular Jewish ritual. Yeah. Anyway,
so
but I know
half God.
just mentioned Star Trek, and that set me off, because I always felt that he was underestimated as an actor. It's very sad when you have a really great actor who gets stuck in one role to the point where he can't get out of it. But on the other hand, it pays the bills.
Well, yeah, no complaints there. I also remember him as the voice on In Search Of, and I loved that show. And it was the first place I ever heard of the Dogon tribe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.